won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo,
Yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome into the best goddamn sports betting show on the planet. What did we do this year? We showed them we're the best Major League Baseball capping place in the world. Now we're showing them what we do in the NHL single-handedly. Gary Bettman called me 2 years ago and thanked me for growing hockey base personally with all those winning bets we put in pockets, and we did it again last night. I'm just kidding. He didn't call me. I don't think he knows who I am. But that's okay, because we have created new hockey fans the past 2 years. Now everyone thinks they can do it. Fact of the matter is they cannot. You got to know a little bit about the game. You got to know a little bit about the zigzags. You got to know a little bit about the trends. You got to know a little bit about the goaltenders. You got to know a little bit about everything. And fortunately for our community, I am a jack of all trades and a master of none. So welcome into Pregaming here on Sports Money. We have a big show lined up tonight. I did not know. Honestly, I'll tell you, I'm late because I had to figure out which games I was going to cut. I had too many games, too much action in play tonight. Of course, the very best bets, the ones I love the absolute most, even some extra plays throughout the day you can find over at Winnable. Just your way of saying thanks. Show some support for the squad. You support me. I support you. I give you some extra action. And it's a low cost. And I told you guys before, the biggest difference here, we do not have big business supporting us. We are all viewer supported. That's you guys in the chat. And look, you go to the casino, you win a blackjack hand, you throw a nickel at the dealer. That's all we're asking. Tip the squad. Tip the crew. We are supporting Winnable. Winnable is supporting us. And most importantly, you can support me over there at winnable.com/Mikey Money. Big show on deck tonight. I can't wait to get into it with you. It's your boy, Mikey Money. I'm inviting you to join the Sports Money crew on Winnable. Get all of our premium best bet selections.
For a low monthly cost, you get the very best bets delivered instantly to your phone by text the moment they're locked in. No delays, no missed lines, just the smartest plays at the best odds.
We do the work, you get the plays sent straight to your phone right when you need them.
Don't wait, don't guess, don't miss the line. Join the winning team today and start cashing tickets with Winnable.
I think I got 15 plays lined up here with you guys tonight. That sounds about right. Does it? It sounds uncomfortable. And then a bunch over on Winnable as well. Again, the best bets are over there. I'll share trends and angles. A lot of plays that I like over here. Playing them all personally myself. Just a little bit different in terms of the way I go about smacking the books. It's that time of year. NHL takes front and center stage. So let's count how many days it takes for people to bitch that we're starting with the NHL. It's our best sport. Well, wait a minute. 65 units 2 years ago, 80 units last year, 145 units. I think this season we got 145 units in baseball. So maybe it's not the best sport. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not bragging. I'm just excited because I know we put the work in. And then when it comes to fruition, look, I told you the way I approach, and we've talked about this before. There's some circle jerks out there that don't want us to talk to you about how you go about capping the games because then you'll know, and then they don't need us. And that fucking blowhard put it on Twitter, if you guys remember a couple months back. And it's like, dude, what's wrong with teaching people how to fish? Then we're all working together. We're all using the same strategy. Maybe somebody augments the strategy and finds an even higher win rate. Stop being a bitch. Share the insight. In kindergarten, they teach sharing. I'm going to guess that prick didn't go to kindergarten. And that being said, that's what we're here to do, is share with you guys how to build winning tickets. You guys do a great job with it. I love seeing the strategies evolve. And look, first ones to adopt the cash flow splits, first ones to adopt trends and angles, first ones to adopt, I don't know what else there is, but we're the tip of the spear. We're the early innovators. They can take our names, but they can't take our expertise. And expertise you're going to see tonight with the Thursday night football game. We're back. We're live and ready to attack the board. I think it's going to be a great game tonight because I do expect the Eagles to come out there and win. Now, last night, gave out a couple totals. Went 1 and 2 in the totals in the NHL. Can't hide it. Got to own it. The Rangers game, 3-0 shutout. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see the Penguins putting, if it was going to happen, I certainly didn't see it being on the Penguins. The under 5.5, honestly, felt lucky to get the under 5.5 in that Florida game. And then the over in the, what game was it? I'm sorry, I'm talking about 2 days ago. Excuse me. The under 6.5 in the Edmonton Calgary game. That's the one. I got too cute because over on Winnable, I had Calgary plus 1.5. Under 6.5 over here, and it was a 4-3 final in overtime. Now, look at outside of that, we won the under 5.5 in Boston, 3-1 final. I like Boston to win that game too. I'm too bad I didn't give that out. We did cash the LA Kings at a big price tag as well. I feel like we had one more in there, but that's okay. We cashed the under 8.5 in Toronto, went back and got it live again. That was up to 10.5. Took it live at plus 265. Took it 9.5 at plus 155. So got to keep in mind, just because they get early run, most of the runs in baseball happen in the first inning. Now, we rolled down the card. The Phillies won. Despite popular opinion that they shouldn't even bother playing the game, they were going to lose. They were destined to lose. They beat the shit out of them boys 8-2. It did not cash the under for us, though. So we got the 155, but we lost to under 8. And that Kings game was fucking great. You know, I had the plays that I had a bunch of hockey parlays, and they were all tied to the Kings. So the first time in a long time, I had to get out, you'll see the scratch pad. I had to get out the scratch pad and start figuring out what's a reasonable number for me to throw on this fucking game at a lower price now for Vegas to still make a boatload of money. And I did. So then about 5 minutes later, the Kings won, and I'm like, fuck, why did I do that? But it was okay. I mean, I still had the Kings straight up, so it was all good. I got too cute with the Vegas game. I expected Vegas to win. I told you guys that. Hopefully you already bet the money line for the Mercury for this next game. I told you that ahead. You know, I cap these series in the playoffs, not just game by game, because it's a lot of redundancy. Asia Wilson crushes it. What'd she have? 35 fucking points. Her over 24.5 cashed. The Vegas plus 4.5, easy cash. Wrong team was favored. And then under 165.5, even though it was adjusted up, was the part that clipped us in the short hairs. Outside of that, it was a 3-unit day. Now that's a 1-unit loss, right? If that had won, we'd be sitting on 10 units yesterday. It was an incredible day. And we're here to keep continuing to roll, get it done. We got, all kinds of things coming down the wire here. Look at this. Look at this NHL card. This lovely, delicious NHL card. Starts with the Rangers, Buffalo, Philly, Flyers, Florida Panthers, Islanders, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Seattle. I got a 2-leg NHL parlay for you guys. I got 2 games in college football, La Tech and Kennesaw State. I got Southern Miss and Georgia Southern. I'm going to bring you guys the Brewers Cubs winner, maybe 2. I think I got 2 winners in that game. And then we'll talk Thursday night football. I've got 3 winners here. And you're going to want to tune into the live show because I might bust out another 5 over there. So some people will say, well, how do you approach the game with all said volume? You got to just decide what's your bankroll look like. You guys know, I'm not one of them hokey pokey, jerk me off, 3%, 4%, 5% guys. I don't mind the first part, but we flat bet everything. And so you need to decide when you're looking at how you're going to play your player props, to what degree do you play them? Congrats to the, was it Austin Matthews goal scorer last night that I was, Stop GL, I think it was, plus 115. Now, is that a full unit or is that a half a unit? Do you play your player props and goal scorers? I don't know. You guys have to decide what's right for you. But when it comes to player props, I do like to get involved in that market, especially now that I think it's a little more sophisticated. The tools, what it comes down to, I think there's not a lot of people playing them. first of all. They want to just play sides and totals, which I'm cool with. So the books have to put lines on all the games. Then they got to go put lines on all the player props. So I think we get a little bit of the advantage there because it's just kind of abundance mentality. There's so much out there for us to pick and choose from that we can be a little more selective and find winners. And then the access to information's never been greater than this current state that we're in. What do we leverage here at Sports Money? Tools, technology, and experience to develop 3 legs of the winning sports betting stool. And I think that's the way to go after this thing. So just some things to think about as you're playing your games out there. Like, I'll tell you this, when they're over 10, for me, just about everything's a unit, right? But when they get over like 10-1, I've said this before, like the first touchdown scores that we have fun with, and some guys moan and groan about them a little bit more than others, but hey, it's fun. And I don't mind throwing $10 on a 2,200. $10 going to win me $220. And if I lose, because I'm probably picking up 250, 300 on the Eagles -7 tonight, I don't really give a fuck. I had fun. It's a rounding error. That's what I said about rounding error. So everybody treats it a little bit different, and everyone's, look at these fucking jokers that want to give you just a couple of plays and then talk to you about, I win at 60%. All right. Well, then give more plays. You'll win more money. It's kind of a simple formula if you're that confident and, resolute in the fact that you're winning at 60%. So, and frankly, guess what? You don't even have to win at 60% if you're clipping out more plays and you're winning more money and you're playing the right plus money opportunities. I heard people today giving out -160s, -170s, celebrating a -160 that they won last night. I'm like, what in the fuck? I didn't even talk about the -160 I gave out, but hey, to each their own. Probably a bunch of Vegas Golden Knights backers that thought that $2.50 line had value. What did we talk about with the NHL? We talked about teams that made changes but didn't make changes. Go figure that one out. They bring in new GMs, but they leave everything alone. Kings. What do we talk about on top of that? Youth, new players coming in. You got to figure it out. Mikey Money, Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about teams in the playoffs that maybe shouldn't have gotten there and did. We talked about teams just like in the NFL that went to the playoffs multiple years. They're tired. They're taxed. Edmonton Oilers last night losing to the Calgary Flames. So, look, I'm going to tell you this. I don't have it on the card here tonight. The first cut. I'll tell you what the first cut was. We'll start right off with the first cut in the NHL. Detroit Red Wings. 30-game stretch last year where they had one of the highest expected goal productions per game out there. Yet they were like second or third worst in the league. Now, you could look at that and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? They stunk. They added new pieces to a team that just wasn't quite there. And I expect them to go out there and face fuck tonight. And especially that Montreal Canadiens team that is traveling after, I couldn't believe what happened at the end of that game last night. I blink, it's 3-2. I blink, it's 5-3, and the fucking game's over. I'm like, whoa. Just a team that let it down. And then they have to travel across the border overnight and sneak into Detroit with a team that had a huge expectation of goals produced. High expected scoring opportunities, right? So, in other words, they're not just dumping pucks in from the blue line. They're like low slot. Like if you watch the way the Oilers scored some, I was talking to MMA Jeff last night, and I was watching that Oilers game on ESPN Plus, and I saw like that one power play goal. I think it was I can't remember if it was their first or second goal. I think it was the first goal. What a beautiful work of art. And if you watch it, high expected scoring opportunities. What I tell you about where the defense originates the play. They shoot that puck down. It was Draisaitl that misses the net wide. The point picks it back up again, gets it down low. So they're shooting it from the point down low. Then you get, I think it was Draisaitl again that came behind the net, passed it over. I think it was McDavid. Now they're moving, they're pushing, and the defenseman, I can't remember, was it Nugent Hopkins, flows in from the point. And now he's in the low slot. If you don't know what the low slot is, think about this. The goal crease is the bottom of a triangle, and then that triangle comes up to the hash marks, right? That's the high scoring opportunities. That's the slot. And this fucking defenseman sneaks in, and now he's in low slot. I mean, he's literally almost right on top of the goalie, and he bangs that puck home. And that's a high expected scoring opportunity. Also, I talked to you guys about teams that you have to look at from a special teams perspective when they're making new parts, like the Vegas Golden Knights and Mikey Money. Well, guess what? Obviously, Hyman's out of that Edmonton game, but them boys been together. They had one of the most lethal power plays last year. So, anyhow, just a couple things that I get excited about when I think about the hockey season. You know where my love is, my loyalty is. Well, my loyalty's evolved to my bankroll. But that being said, you guys, we got a lot of games to cover tonight, so no time like the present. Now, speaking of present, I did post for all the members. It's free to be a member. I'm sorry, all subscribers. No, all members. It's free to be a subscriber. All members, bronze, silver, gold, all metal levels. If you guys remember the Affordable Care Act, they had metal levels. Maybe that was more from my insurance background on the employer side of things. But either way, bronze, silver, and gold. Everybody got them. They're all out there. So I wanted to put that out there because that game started at 6:08. And I knew we had too much to cover to try to squeeze it in and get everybody to rush on that stuff. So that play was sitting out there on the community post tab. Hopefully you guys are checking into the community post tab. The community post tab is posted today. And what do we know? Well, we know by the community post tab that we've got a poll for tonight's game. We know that the polls have been crushing at about a 70% rate. And so we need to know exactly what our community says about what's happening. You know, I saw a show earlier today, and this fucking curmudgeon was like, I had a little time earlier this afternoon. I was just kind of chilling. So I was, doing some things and whatever the fuck I was doing. Doesn't matter. But this fucking curmudgeon's like, let's get a poll out there and see what the community has. And then he was so excited that the community was on the other side of him. He's like, exactly. It's so public. And I was thinking, dude, you're not building your community at all. And the reality is we are doing that here. And that's why our polls have such a dominant ratio to them. Now, there's only 36 votes. So I wanted to show this to you guys because we're slacking. I can't vote. I'm an administrator on the site. I can't vote. If it offered me a chance to vote, I'd be voting for the Eagles. I can't. So we need the higher ratio. The more of you sharp-ass bettors that get into these polls, the more of a natural sample selection it's going to be, and it's going to increase our odds of winning. So I need you guys to get in there and do that. If you haven't, also smack that thumbs up button. I can smack the thumbs up button. Oh, look, I smacked this one. Oh, and look, I posted this one. I thumbs up my own post. That's the kind of fucking guy I am. How about that? Yeah, here you go. You can just see some more examples. Oh, I didn't thumbs up that one. No, I know. I was doing a bunch of shit yesterday. That's why. No excuses. Bunch of hockey. All right. So that brings us current. I don't think there's anything left for us to discuss in the way of outstanding plays, outstanding victories, pending plays, pending victories. We're going to talk about all of those here tonight. So you've come to the right spot. You guys know the deal, though. Before we even get popping, the most important thing to do, whether you want to show some support over at Winnable or keep all those winning plays in your back pocket, whether you want to become a silver or gold member over here, most important thing you can do is smash the thumbs up button. That cost you $0. That's just being a good fucking person. You know what? We're coming out here. We're giving you the morning steam. Ramon puts together a 2-hour popper. That's 6 a.m. Vegas time. You know, we got live shows. 6 days a week? 6 days a week we're going live betting, player props, sides, totals, the whole gamut. We're coming at you guys with UFC plays. We're doing a 7-hour UFC stream on Saturdays. And it goes on and on and on, right? We're bringing on the guys joining us for guests on the stage. I mean, there's just so much that goes into all of this, not to mention, look at all these plays on Pregaming. All you guys have to do is take a second to hit that thumbs up button. And we got to get to 100, man. I know it's slim pickings here, but the more we get those thumbs up buttons, the more YouTube promotes the channel, the more that channel promotion gets to new users. Those new users are probably sports bettors. Otherwise, I wouldn't be promoting it to them. That's how the algorithm works. And then when they come in and they share their best bets, we got more plays to select from. You don't just have to take one or two. You've got a whole pool of options to pick from. And it just starts by doing one simple thing, and that is smashing the thumbs up button. If you haven't done so, give it a click now for me. There's Barry says 19 plays sent out. That's winnable. That's across all sports. We're already 1-0 today on Winnable. I also mixed up some of the selections here. Again, I wouldn't say these are, I'm playing these too, so I got a lot of money in play. And I was texting a friend earlier today. I said, man, I fucking feel like I'm seeing the NHL early. I mean, it's only 2 days in, so it's hard to get too jacked up. But preseason, I had one official loss, but I thought I was kind of tracking these teams well. I feel like I got a good pulse on. We'll see what tonight looks like. Easy to get overzealous. Let's go, you guys. Get those plays in the chat. Let's see what you guys are up to this evening. We want to recognize your plays. We want to talk about best bets. We want to talk about Gerald Jones. It's his birthday. His best bet's the Eagles first half -4. Happy birthday. Gerald Jones, man. That's an OG right there. Always here supporting us, man. Shout out to you, Gerald Jones. I hope you have a great night, my friend. I know you're going to get that Eagles first half cash, so feeling good for you there. And hopefully you get a little something else. Hope you get a couple presents, maybe a nice dinner. I don't know. We're going to give you a nice live stream. How about that? Tonight's live stream will dedicate to Gerald Jones. Elliot Jameson's got that ECU Pirates. He was telling us this week, get it before the line moves. He likes them Pirates tonight. Peter Gracia. What up, my dude? DJ Hardy's here. Markel's in the house. Nasty Nate says he's on that, Gerald. Nasty Nate, you going to your boy's house again? The Eagles Den. Gerald Jones says 3 days off. Let's go, man. Good for you, dude. So your weekend starts tonight. Shout out to you, my friend. Is the Walker fight off? Is that breaking news? The Valter Walker fight? I was going to fade that fucker anyways. Mr. Heel Hook champion. Let's go. Stop Geo Engineers in the house. Gerald Jones, my man, doing his things. AJ in the house says, missed that Milano by 1 fucking point. Didn't they win? I thought Milano won. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, well, I guess we're 0-1 today. Whoops. It's kind of a big deal. Shit. You know what the worst part is? It doesn't matter. JW says, love the NHL. Fuck the haters. Let's go, JW. That's the right attitude, my friend. David Wallace. There's Justin. Says, sports money is money. Haters mean you're doing something right. Damn right, my friend. Gerald Jones is still live in DraftKings free survival challenge for 5K. Started with 71,000 entries, down to 10,000 entries. Wood on Indy Colts this week. I used the Colts the other day, last week. We're down to 20. How many are we down to? I could use that fucking 50K this week or this year. I don't care. 3 times I've been alive to the very end, and one time I forgot to put an entry in. So that's terrible. It's my own fault. Can't blame anybody for that. We started with 9,031 people. We have 2,625 people left. First prize gets 50K. They get $100,000 in total prizes, and they're paying out 700 of them. Think about that next time you hear that. We got that $10 survivor pool going. $10. Get some big opportunities. Shit, even if you get $10 back, you get a free entry for the following year. Just let that money sit there and then pop it again next year for free for $10. Shout out to Nunya. He's more excited for the NCAA tonight. Says, let's cash. Did I neglect to mention that we swept the NCAA last night? I feel like I messed that. I feel like I left that off the table. Nobody knows shit teams better than your boy here. ECU plus 6.5. Anytime touchdown. Smith, Montgomery, and Hauser for Elliot Jameson. There's some player props for you guys. J Main in the house. Sirianni, 11-2, last 13 off a loss. Oh, Siri thinks I was talking to her. Dale Fix is actually the Phillies just beat the shit out of Kershaw. Well, they like playing in LA. We love LA. DJ says, I had a boost with him at plus 175. Elliot Jameson says, I'm also on the under in the ECU game. I like the under. I'm not going to bad juju your ECU play, but I like the under. Defense is held. Yeah, I think that's a really good look. Robert McCormick's here. David Wallace is last man on my fantasy team this week at wide receiver. T. Tucker or K. Shakir? Shakir? Shout out to Elliot Jameson. Regardless, we love your channel. Appreciate you, my dude. Shout out to Nunya. Mitch Morver's here. Says, Mike, what's up? What's up, chat? Man, haven't been able to catch the show in a while. Caught that Milano pick late. Hit them. You know what? That's why. That's why I got... Because I went back at 3.5. Now that you say that 4.5, it was halftime. I think it was halftime. And no, I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. It does matter, but it doesn't matter. You guys know what I mean. SF Niners has looked in AJ Brown, 2 touchdowns. Otani home run parlay. Wow. Hey, for what it's worth, we'll talk about it in a minute. Remind me about 2 touchdowns. Let's go. SF Diner says, did think about it, Mitch, but didn't want to be greedy. Had a Vidal sighting last week. Might be Vidal anytime touchdown. Typically, when someone here says smash Red Sox, listen. Joe Dubs here. Peter Gracia says, hit the mofo button. Let's go. Nathan Cerna says, Philly first half money line. Nasty Nate says, Bruins smash again. Mikey Karnick, why is the Thursday night football game over under only 40.5? Now it's 41.5. Justin says, I got to find someone to let me borrow $10. Your money bags, dude. Come on, stacks. Jonathan David's here. Appreciate him joining us. J Main says to the under. SF Niner says, I'll tail. And J Main says, California stacks. He says, there are 10 people, give me $1. J Main. All right, you guys, let's go. Let's get after it. We got a busy night ahead of us. I got a whole new cocktail regime I'm working into play this evening. I'm excited for that. Excited to see if that'll help me sustain some earlier mornings. But it's a busy day, so we got a lot on the plate. We're going to start with the NHL going forward for the rest of the season because it's my show, and I get to make those fucking decisions. So, that being said, the Rangers and the Sabres will pop off here. I told you guys the other day, the big thing about the Rangers. I talked about both these teams already, right? I told you already. The Rangers changed their coach, first time in coach history. They lose to the team that they just left from the previous season in game number 1. 2, they've been working on their defense. They have one of the best defenders in the game, but it's going to take them a little while to figure it out. 3, the Sabres are an absolute shit show. They've changed their goaltending rotation 3 times in the last 2 days after they locked the roster 72 hours ago, or after they submitted their final roster, I guess. Think about that. 4 changes, 2 days, 3 days ago, you put your final roster in. Not to mention, they told Owen Powers wasn't supposed to play. He was going to be on the IL to start the season off. Oh, he was there on a sighting today on the ice. They don't know what the fuck's going on in Buffalo. Now, tinfoil hat, I did see a tweet I don't know who the guy was. I don't know how he got on my timeline, but I can only speculate it's because it had Sabres and Eagles, or Sabres and Bills. And he started a tweet. I think it was 2018 that his buddy told him the 2025-26 season would be the year that the Sabres win the Stanley Cup. So he tweeted today and he said, hey, per my psychic buddy, the Buffalo Sabres start their quest to win the Stanley Cup today. Now, that's a little fucking crazy for me. However, I did talk about the Super Bowl colors conspiracy, if you will, right? And if you guys don't know that, you can go Google it. But this year, Ravens and Lions are the colors. You could argue the Lions were the Eagles, but either way, Ravens and Lions are what they kind of came up with here on the early set. Guess who's still favored to make the playoffs in the AFC? Baltimore. We talked about them the other night. We also talked about New England. And now on Sunday, before the Bills game was over, we talked about New England being the team to come out of the AFC East. Now people are saying they have a chance to make the playoffs. This is what happens with fucking sports money. We tend to be ahead of the curve. And just now they're coming up with it. That's not prognosticating. That's just fucking reading the obvious. You're reading the back cover of the sports section, telling us what happened. Igor Shesterkin is what happened that first game out there, 3-0 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Old team Sidney Crosby. I prognosticated Sidney Crosby goes to Edmonton this year, probably because Leon Draisaitl gets hurt in the Olympics. He's a German hockey player, Germany's middle tier, and they'll probably overutilize this guy because he is Captain Germany. Gets himself hurt like Matthew Tkachuk did last year. They free up a bunch of salary cap, and over comes Sidney Crosby to help Connor McDavid win his first Stanley Cup, much like we saw LeBron James do with the Miami Heat. That being said, Igor Shesterkin got busted up 3-0. He did have a 96.4% save percentage. Got to be disappointing. That being said, look, 2 of those goals were empty netters. So he was pretty much on fire. He just couldn't get any offensive support. And I don't know that we'll see that kind of expectation through the rest of the year, but I know they're starting Alex Leon. This kid has had a journey, man. Talk about a journeyman. He was a minor league goalie for the Flyers. He was in the organization with the Lehigh Valley squad, the Phantoms. Gets to Philly. And this is when Philly had to get rid of Carter Hart because of the alleged accusations. He was so piss poor They just outright fucking cut him. And then who picks him up? The Red Wings. And then they dropped his ass. So now, because Jukka-Pekka Luukkonen is out and now week to week on the season, they will go to Alex Leon. He played 30 games last year. He was 14-9-1, and he had 2.81 goals against average. They had Georgiev. Apparently, Leon's bad, but he's not worse than Georgiev. So, I don't know. You know, where they are. I just can't see a situation where we find a Buffalo. I don't care. Give me the Rangers. And I think this is because it's the second leg of the back-to-back. It's travel. I told you, I don't care about that. Any idiot that tells you it's the second leg of a back-to-back in the first 2 weeks of the season is just that. Stop listening to them. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. These guys are young. They're fresh. They're battle test. I mean, they got all the top of the line equipment. Come week 26 in the season, sure, it's going to matter a little bit more, but not game 2. And we saw that last night with the LA Kings. And by the way, if there was going to be a spot, it would have been the LA Kings. You know, after traveling there the first night and going into Vegas and a score fest on top of it, but they came out beating ass right off the gate. It didn't matter. And I think we see a little bit of the same from the Rangers in this game. I think the way they come out is they fire early, they fire often. And I just don't know what we're going to see out of Buffalo. Buffalo's still a young team trying to put all their lines together. Philly Kill says the psychic's off by a few hundred miles. It's yeah. Exactly, Phil the Kill. There's a bunch of schleppos out there. Tequila, soda, no hangover. It's not the hangover. I don't really get hungover. It's just the constant impact of 4 pints of Red Bull every night for 6 nights. It's wreaking havoc. It just hurts. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I just think it's liquor in general. I don't think it's going to make a difference what kind of liquor it is. All right. Game number 2. We got the Flyers and the Panthers. What a game this is going to be out there. Look, I'll keep it short and sweet for you guys. Florida's going to struggle this year early because they've got injury factors that they've got to deal with out there. Kachuk's going to be, they're missing big pieces to that offense. Now, they were able to win on banner night, but they had a Blackhawks team. That Blackhawks team didn't shoot the entire second half of the third period. Not one shot. I'm not making it up. Go look. Go look. And they hung on to win 3-2 on banner raising night. You're the Stanley Cup champs, so you get the best every team's brought to you. And how many years have you heard me say the Flyers are too stupid to know how bad they are? That's what we see in this situation here. They can start this season out. You know, for what it's worth, they did quite a bit of retooling in the offseason. And some of the exciting players to look out for are going to be guys like Zegras. We know Mishkov's going to be one of them killers that's out there as well. I honestly think, despite the fact that they're young in this case, I honestly think that the Flyers have themselves a shot here. I mean, Drysdale was the move that came over when they got rid of that bozo that ghosted everybody. They put a lot of pieces in play the last 2 years, and you've probably read or heard at one point in time or another that one of the most active general managers, literally, in the sport today isn't Howie Roseman with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's Danny Briere with the Philadelphia Flyers. What pictures does he have? Remember last year they dumped off like $15 million of salary cap out west in part of those trades, and it wasn't all to Anaheim. So they brought a lot of young players together, and I know I talk about young players, and it takes some time. This isn't a situation where they all came in this offseason. They've been building these pieces for 2 seasons now. The biggest addition is bringing Rick Tocchet back as the head coach. He's a developmental-oriented coach. He kind of had a rough go of it, I guess, his last time around, which is why it was his former time around. But I think they've got some of the right pieces in play early. The thing that does concern me a little bit, but again, it's early in the season, comes down to it's not Ersson, it's Vladar. Now, they're going to go back to Sergei Bobrovsky. Or I shouldn't say back to, but yeah, Sergei Bobrovsky will start the season, and that was that 3-2 win. He only saved 17 of 19. 19 and a half was the saves for his player prop. That's why I know they didn't shoot for the second half of the third period, because it was that way the entire first half of the third period. That being said, 33, 19, and 2. It is a little bit of a revenge factor. He had 5 shutouts last year. He used to play for the Flyers. It seems like when the Flyers have a goalie and they let him go, he tends to shit the bed, with the exception of Leon. Big move for Philadelphia is they bring in Dan Vladar. they've been dealing with quite a few injuries is what it comes down to. But Sammy Ersson and Danny Vladar. Vladar was the guy for Calgary last year. 12, 11, and 6, kind of in a backup role, but hey, they believe in him enough to start this thing off. I think they're in a good position. Look, this is a price tag play for me. The Florida Panthers just eked out a win against Chicago. Chicago roster compared to Philly roster. I think Philly's, with the exception of Connor Bedard, take him out of the equation. I think Philly's roster is 2-1, that Chicago Blackhawks roster. Unbiased look at it too. It's not just because I'm a Philly fan, but at plus 185 against the Florida Panthers, when they barely won that last game, yeah, I think that's the way we're going to do it. Let's see what you guys have to say about that. Let's go. AJ says, I hope the Rangers come out swinging since they got shut out. Phil the Kill says, I heard several cappers mention that back-to-backs. DJW says, do you have a liver? I don't know. I'm afraid to check. I don't think I have jaundice yet. Lucky Power says, smash the like and share the video, fellas. Only takes a few seconds. Trevor85 says, I crafted a 17-leg parlay. I posted it publicly on DK. It went crazy viral. DK moved it to their popular tab. No shit, dude. Shut up, Lucky Power says, Blackhawk money line. Nasty Nate says, I'll be drunk at the bar and be at the gym at 6 a.m., then take dogs out, kids to school, and at work, putting in windows by 8 a.m. Look at my dude. If you're not live on screen for 5 hours, doing shots and taking fucking cocktails. Kelly V says, series is 5-5. You're welcome to, though, Nasty Nate. Series is 5-5. So, like Philly and Mishkov point, Philly dog agree from Kelly V. All right, let's go. Let's see what we got going on here. Pick up some pace, man. I gotta work on my timing with this advent of new schedules. By the way, Smoke and Mirrors was getting me yesterday. I see Kelly V's comment. Smoke and Mirrors was getting me about my love for Skinner. Did you see that Pukes fucking goal that got scored on him? One of the tweets I saw on Twitter was like, did his controller battery die on PlayStation? He like had it in his legs, and then he just stood there while Calgary came in and poke checked that thing into the net. Big win. Islanders Penguins in this game here. I got to go with the Isles. Look, this is one of them spots. We saw the Penguins come out yesterday, right? And upset them Rangers. The crazy part about that is it's Tristan Jarry that will start tonight. Now, it was Silovs that they put in that last game. If you remember, he came from Vancouver. And Tristan Jarry spent last season between being injured and being a piece of shit. So he, 2 months in the minors, then he comes back to the NHL. Like, this is a guy they just don't really have a footing or confidence and foundation in right now. So, Penguins are a dog. Their offense stinks. Last year, they had one of the worst offenses in the NHL, which is because they're aging. And that's why a lot of people said they're in a rebuild. I told you guys, I thought Boston's rebuild is just they haven't recognized it yet, where Pittsburgh says, yeah, we know we got to rebuild. On the other side of things, Ilya Sorokin will go in goal for the Islanders, the New York Islanders out there. And he's been firing, kind of I don't want to say his second season was a little bit of a setback, but either way, early in the season, no goals against average, no real bounty or measure to show what their performance levels look like, other than I just think this is one of them spots where the Rangers got shut out. It's the zigzag is what it comes down to. Now, I will say this. Goals, and goals should be expected. 14-1 are the Islanders to the over when they're in the favorite role against Pittsburgh. That's right. Trends are our friends. And the rest of them were joking for 2 years before they started reaching out going, can you give me some of them trends? So, that being said, I told one guy fuck off and I gave another guy some trends. That being said, both teams missed the playoffs. The favorite starting off the season are 9-1 their last 10. You might say, well, that's a small sample. And does that account for this year versus last year? Listen, 201 and 114 when you zoom out over the 315 game sample. Plenty of evidence to show the Islanders are a favorite for a reason, especially when you factor in the travel. Big win situation to open the season off for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't see older teams starting the season off with 10, 12 game win streaks. I see younger teams doing that. And then the other teams get back to midseason form and fuck them up. That's why I think the Flyers have a shot tonight. That's why I think the Rangers have a shot tonight to some degree. Well, the Sabres are just a mess in my estimation. And then, I think from this case, the Islanders go out there and put pedal to ass on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Still got Rust as a key component to that starting line out. So their lines are still flipping around, trying to figure things out. Justin Brazow goes out there and puts 2 goals in that. Evgeny Malkin, 2 assists. That second line has been firing. Maybe consider Justin Brazow for a point tonight if you were looking to get in the player prop business. Let's go out west. Let's pick up some pace. Where does the time go? Jerry Davis, it seems like the Sharps are. Hey, man, I could give a flying. You know what? I could lose that game, and I still play it again. I hate to say that, and I don't want you guys to lose confidence in that play, but I don't follow. I follow beat reporters. I don't follow too many of them, but I'll keep my eyes on a couple of them. It just so happens that team's in my backyard, and I'm getting force-fed fucking information on a regular basis. And when I see the Houdini act of your fucking roster in the last 3 days, as the season's right now getting ready to start, maybe they're just looking at the price, thinking, why? I don't know. Why would you want the Sabres at a -110 anyways? But you know what? The Sharps are also saying the Sabres are going to make the playoffs and have a turnaround season. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Kelly V says 2 goals each in regulation. Islanders, Penguins parlay. All right. The Anaheim Ducks partaking in a little West Coast debauchery on the road to kick the season off against the Seattle Kraken. And I talked about the Flyers and the way that they were making jockeying moves around in the offseason, the last 2 off seasons. Anaheim's very much in the same boat. A young team by nature, but not newly put together. And that's a big component. That's a big difference that you don't hear a lot of people capping. They'll tell you they're on the second leg of a back-to-back because it's the second game of the season and they're playing again. But they don't know the orchestrate and the makeup. This is why I said you don't play memory with me. Because I'll win every time. Because I see that shit and it just locks in somewhere in the back of the brain. And it's like for the last 2 years, I know what these teams have been doing. I know how they've been performing. Does it mean they're going to win the season overall in the long haul? Probably not. They're pieces of shit. But young players can start out early. The problem, it's just like we talk about with pitchers. Normal junior hockey players play like, what is it, a 62-game season? Well, the hockey season's 82 games. And if you made the playoffs, you got another 20 or so on top of that. So you got a potential 100 games. That's almost double the season that it takes a minor hockey league player coming in, a junior hockey league player. And college is even less. So it does take them a year or 2 to kind of get used to the conditioning of a long season. Frankly, that's why Connor Bedard didn't fucking get a shot on goal in the third period yesterday or 2 days ago. And I see that and I recognize I blew that and I learned from my mistakes because I saw that and recognized that you got a guy in Connor Bedard that got hurt last year, missed a big chunk of the season. He's got to be the guy that they're building around. And he's a little soft because he's young. He doesn't have time he hasn't been bulking up. He hasn't been taking the special juice. He hasn't been putting HGH in his fucking Cheerios. Or he has, but he hasn't been doing it for a long period of time. So guy didn't even eat McDonald's till he played for the Chicago Blackhawks. Crazy. So some of that stuff goes into the equation. The Ducks and the Kraken will pop off. And where'd my screen go? Where'd my goalie screen go? There it is. I found it. It's okay. Lucas Dostal, Joey Decord. I don't know. What do you want to say? These guys are both fucking subpar. The one thing I'll say is that they did feel a little bit more confident in Dostal because they moved John Gibson to Detroit, which is another reason why I like Detroit. They strengthened up one of the most important positions they got. They got rid of Leon. They bring in Gibson. This whole thing's circular. It's round. What's he saying? Happy Gilmore? The universe is round. Goes in a circle. Anyhow, so this will be their guy. We'll see what he does. He's early. He's 25 years old, so he's got plenty of opportunity. He had a 3.1 goals against average last season. I don't know. He finished 500. I just think this is one of those spots where you got your guy now. You've shown him that you believe in him from a confidence level, and your team's aging together. Whereas Decord, on the other side of things, 27, 23, and 3. Grubauer was the other guy out there with Seattle, and they decided that they're going to go to a more of a 70-30 ratio this year. So they do have a little belief system in Joey Decord. He spent some time injured last year as well. Tough spot being a goalie, especially when you're on a shit team. They expect the Anaheim Ducks to make the playoffs this year. They also expect the Buffalo Sabres to make the playoffs this year. I can't see the Sabres making the playoffs. Well, I don't know. Sabres had that stretch where they lost 17 straight games or something like that. That definitely clobbered them. I mean, that's not going to help you win this thing long haul. But look, early in the season, we got to look at a little bit of last year's information, and we got to try to figure out how we can. Jerry Davis says we got screwed. Dart flipped one off the app. Yep. His mom takes a special cheers. Flintstone are they the gummies? Are they the chewies? I probably should take some Flintstone vitamins. What do you think would happen if I went on Flintstone vitamins for 60 days? You think anything would happen? Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll let you guys decide if you can see any difference in me. Well, you've become more arrogant. Oh, okay. All right. So anyhow, the Anaheim Ducks are my play here tonight. Look, trends are our friends, baby. Conference road teams versus the Seattle Kraken at home. Seattle Kraken at home last year. If you played the conference road team, you were 23-4. 23-4. They did not play well. Remember, that was an auto fade for us, was the Kraken at home against a conference opponent. Flip it. We're going with the Anaheim Ducks here, plus money opportunity as well. It's a pretty looking penny for us out there. Not a ton of margins, so don't get cute. 0.7 is what they're winning these games by. So that to me says it could be overtime. I did look over that I think it was the last 15 games. They hadn't gone to overtime in 10. So knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anybody from that, but I don't think you need to get cute. Just take Anaheim. You're getting a plus money price tag on them. And then I'm going to slap this parlay up there on the screen so we can get to these other games and get this show on the road. I went to Colorado and Vegas. Colorado. Why? Because we love you. It's Colorado. They're playing the Sharks. I'm sorry. No, they're not playing the Sharks. Excuse me. My bad. Faux pas. Colorado's at home though. That's a fact. And they're playing the Mammoth. They've beaten the Mammoth 15-3 in the last 18 games. That goes back to the previous seasons when they were the Coyotes as well. So I get that, but this line's also swelled a ton. There's not a lot. What do you want me to say? Colorado's I talked about it against the Kings. The Kings were fraudulent home ice favorites last year, and Colorado had a domination at home on the ice. So I took Colorado, leg number 1. Leg number 2, I had Vegas. Why? Because it's the second leg of a back-to-back. And they lost the last one. And it's early in the season. And they've never lost in history to the San Jose Sharks in regulation. So I think this is a Colorado-Vegas spot. We'll take this plus 128 to put a bow on the hockey portion of the show. Nasty Nate says, I take turmeric gummies, apple cider vinegar gummies, and a men's multivitamin. Maybe that's why you're getting up at 6 a.m. and fucking ruling the fucking world, dude. Maybe that's my mistake. I'll have to have you DM me that. Maybe I'll have to try that. Oh, it was so fucking cold this morning. I got up. It was literally, no. It was literally I hadn't turned my heat on yet. So I woke up and it was 50 degrees. I was like, holy fuck, it's too cold to even sleep. All right. Heat's on now. That's how I know I'm getting older too. I used to go to November, be like, I'll just put on long pants and a fucking sweatshirt. Not now. I just don't want to be cold. I just don't want to. No need to. Anyhow, let's pop this thing off. La Tech, Kennesaw State, guys. This is one of them spots where I just think, look, overall with these two teams, La Tech's had more divisional opponents. They're 2-0 in conference. And Kennesaw, 1-0 with the home team. But look at this line. The problem that you see with a team like Kennesaw, they don't score in the fourth quarter. They don't close games out. They're averaging 1.2 points in the fourth quarter. And La Tech turns the ball over. They're number 11th in football in turnovers. So you're going to force a team that doesn't score, that I expect to be down. The line indicates they're down by 5 points in the fourth quarter, to go throw the ball out there. And they're only putting up 1 point against a team that's most likely going to turn it over. Yeah, I don't think that's going to end well. They're third in fourth down conversion percentages, La Tech. That means they keep the chains moving. And we've been cashing with these shit teams when we find that one's just got a transparently better offense than the other. I mentioned that Pirates game. Look, I like the under a lot in that game. A whole lot. And I'll leave it at that. Southern Miss is taking on the, I should have given you guys the splits if you want them. 36% of the bets and 78% of the cash on Kennesaw State. It's gone from 7.5 to 5.5. So it is moving. Sharps do seem to like something with Kennesaw State. I can't get there. I think it's a lower scoring game, and I think it's one-sided. And you can't score in the fourth quarter. So if you're down, unless they're blowing out La Tech, who is a step up in class in the division for them, I just can't see it. The X's and O's don't add up to me. Golden Eagles, Southern Miss, 64% of the bets on Southern Miss, but 62% of the cash on the Eagles. The battle of the Eagles in this game, 59.5 have moved up to 60. 40% of the bets and 70% of the cash are on the over. So we have some money moving to the over. This has moved over just about at a half a tick. And hopefully I've been redundant enough that you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. A team that scores against a team that doesn't. And not only do they not score, they can't stop scores. And their quarterbacks aren't producing. Because when it comes time at the end of the game, you got to throw the ball. Southern Miss is beating teams by an average of 16 plus points a game. Georgia Southern beat an FCS school in their 2 wins. They also beat Jacksonville State. Level of competition, check the box on favor of the Southern Miss side of things. And look, competition-wise, common opponent, they smoked Jacksonville State by 17 points. There's that 17 again. 35 lead through 3 quarters of that game to beat them up. They changed their quarterbacks in the fourth quarter or it would have gotten even uglier. Their defense on the Georgia Southern side allows 37.4 points a game. That's 131 in college football. They're allowing 460 yards a game. That ain't going to cut it. They gave up 35 points to James Madison. Those Conference USA teams are fucking awful. They're bad. We saw it yesterday again. Even that, I know we were on the right side with Liberty, but that game was fucking ugly. And that Middle 10 game was god awful. We pushed it here with the 2, but early in the afternoon, Winnable had gotten the 2.5. The line just moved. The line moved that half a point on us and ended up being the difference between the push and the win. So offensively with Southern Miss, I'd mentioned the points per game. Group of 5 schools, they rank 14th in group of 5 schools. 57th nationally. So they're playing with the big boys and they're ranking up there. Well, they're not playing with the big boys, but they're ranking with the big boys. So in other words, they're beating up shit schools. Really, that's kind of where it stops. Southern Miss's defense isn't the greatest. But Jesus, they're better than the Golden Eagles. So for me, this is a spot where I jumped in on Southern Miss. I got the -3. I'll lay the points. Makes me a little nervous that I'm dropping points with both road teams, but she is what she is. Let's see what you guys have to say about all of that. Good luck, Kelly V. She just bought turmeric today. I heard about the turmeric and the toothpaste, but that might have been an Alex Jones thing. Jackson State wins against Sam Houston, says DJ Hart. I wanted to get in on that. Something doesn't look right. I would take the under in that game. Then he says he's on the Tulane props. We're looking for the parlay for college football. I don't have a college football parlay. I can't play player props in college football, so I don't mess around with all. I just keep it macro level. Plus, there's so many fucking college football games for me that if I dig in too deep, I'm gonna get lost in the woods. You know what I mean? I want to shoot across the entire bow, look at all the games, then drill down, find the ones that I like that have some trends that line up for me, look at the cash flow splits, make sure those line up for me, and then go back and look at offense and defensive rankings and make sure that looks. That's not all of it, but that's a good chunk of it. There's the recipe for trying to find success in college football. All right, guys, we're right at the wire here. We got just 2 more games to talk about, so let's get to it. Let's talk about the Brewers and Cubs. It's the Brewers that I think go out there and boot the ass here tonight. Sadly, look, we captured that Cubs game yesterday. That was easy money. That was easy money because it was one of those Cubs at home, off a loss, in the afternoon. Afternoon start defined as prior to 7 p.m. Today, we have to take a second and see what's going on in this Phillies game. 0-0. 0-0. All right. What's going on here? What's going on? What is going on? All right. Brewers, 76% of the bets, 76% of the cash. They've moved from minus 110 to minus 118. The total has not moved off of 7, although it's juiced to the over. 91% of the bets and 86% of the cash. I have a feeling this one probably ends right on 7 again. And I have a feeling it's probably like 5-2. What you need to know is it's Freddie Peralta, and he's been an absolute fucking dragon slayer. It's Matthew Boyd on the other side. Matthew Boyd has been an absolute piece of shit. It's pretty much where I expect it to end. I mean, there's some trends and there's some other things that kind of go along with it here. I just think the series ends tonight with this Brewers team. Look, the Cubs, despite their early prowess yesterday, I talked to you guys about momentum. Where was that momentum at the end of the game? It was me biting my fingernails. Not really, but it was me sitting there thinking, holy shit, can they hang on? Because I had an unruly bet on the Chicago Cubs because the trend lined up. Now, Matthew Boyd is a piece of shit, and I'm sure he's a nice guy. When I say that, I mean specifically in relation to his Major League Baseball performance. He's 8-0 to the over on Thursdays if the last game went over, and the Cubs aren't winning in those spots. So you do the math. I wanted to take the Brewers team total over. It's 3.5, but it just made me a little concerned. What if it's a 3-1 type of game? They don't need to go out there and use all their pieces. They just want to advance and get the series over with so they can grab a day's rest. And I think that's the way to go about this game, is take these Brewers tonight. We can get into more detail as much as you guys need, but I don't think you need any more than this. This is a spot where the Brewers have been one of those teams all season. I like the Cubs. I like their bats, but I think it's time. It's time to retire this season. The guys have been hit. This has been a tough batting season for these guys. You had your guys like Kyle Tucker out of this thing, and you got a good performance out of Pete Crow Armstrong. You got to do something with this Matthew Boyd piece for next season and try to shore that guy up. But hey, outside of that, you did well. You guys got it done. But Matthew Boyd, your old Mother Hubbard and Matthew Boyd's in your cupboard. I don't know how that's going to end well. Everybody's hitting a 250 or better on this guy. The only guy that's not is Joey Ortiz. Yelich, 250. Churio, 500. Contreras, 500. Terang, 375. If I was going to go with an RBI, I'd go to Willie, the kid Contreras out there. Probably the guy that I would look to play. Andrew Vaughn, let me see what his price tag is real quick. Let me see. See if we want to add that. He's at 175. I'll think about it. I got so much fucking action out there. I don't even know if I want to. Thought of another bet makes me want to throw up. Let's go. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Jerry Davis, Jacksonville State in the under. Nani says, I focus on college. I got a book that lets me bet FCS props. Yeah, it's just not legal in New York. And even my locals are shit options. Nani says, Vegas just ain't got time for it. It's always what I never back. Two for a bet. Davis is Phillies or Dodgers money line is Phillies. Gave out the Phillies earlier today to all of our members. Bronze, silver, and gold level. Nunya can cook. Jacksonville State running back first touchdown. Spenny Penny Bomb says Hurts and Barkley plus 200. Anytime touchdown. AJ Brown plus 210. Devonta Smith plus 250. BX Collins plus 700. Daniel Bellinger plus 900. Bo Collins, I think it is. 20 plus receiving yards for Spenny Penny Bombs. Right in time. Transition us to our NFL segment of the program, and then we'll put the bow on the show. Get ready for the evening live stream. Brian Smith says, I think a game goes on. The Phillies might be on the right side. Problem is their bullpen versus the Dodgers bullpen. I give the advantage to the Dodgers in an unbiased fashion. Spenny Pettingbaum's got a same game parlay. A.J. Brown, 60-plus receiving yards. Bo Collins, 20-plus receptions, 27 receiving yards. Goddard, 30-plus receiving yards. Hurts and Scatteroo touchdowns. I like that Hurts and Scatteroo touchdowns, Spenny. Hopefully you're around tonight, my dude. I'd like to get you on there and call you a scumbag for a few times. All right, you guys. Look it. First of all, stop it. Stop it with these fucking Giants. Just stop it. Now, you're going to probably see the 0-7s and 0-8s and the hurt spots when he's 7.5 or more. It's down to a 7. So that one doesn't count. 0-10 for the Giants on Thursday Night Football over the last 10 years. Well, that one counts. This line's got 76% of the bet, 79% of the cash on the Eagles. The lines come down 3 points, 43.5 to 40.5, with 62% of the bets and 61% of the cash on the over. So you've got some reverse line movement. If you don't know, now listen, this could just be me, and I mentioned this yesterday. This could be me. Go easy with the Barkley shit tonight. If I could just make a recommendation, you got to go easy with the Barkley stuff tonight. I just think you have to be careful. I heard he was dinged up. Now, he wasn't on the injury report. Maybe after watching what's going on with the UFC, maybe tomorrow they'll be like, oh, the Eagles got fined because Barkley wasn't on the injury report. I don't know. Just go easy. I'm not saying he's injured. I'm not saying he's not injured. I'm just saying go easy. Okay? Everybody's hurt for the fucking Giants. Everybody. So Jackson Dart guaranteed a victory. I called him. I said that. I said he was telling everyone he was going to beat the Chargers. That was at home, 21-18. He won. He went down to New Orleans, and he made New Orleans look good. And New Orleans is the worst team in football. So that's a problem. That's a big problem. They lost that game 26-14. The Eagles, I projected they would lose to Denver. I took the 4.5 on Denver, and in our wee-woo pick 'em, I picked Denver. I also said they're a must bet on, regardless of the spread, against the Giants. It's a short week, turnaround, divisional game. I don't care if it's at home or not. You've still got a rook in Jackson Dart. Quarterback roulette. He wasn't that good to start the season, and all of a sudden he's in? No. You just didn't like what you saw out of Russell Wilson in that Giants game, and you just went crying to your ownership. Now, the big components. Who's going to receive the ball? I think I know. I think I'll tell you. Malik Neighbors. You probably hear me say that a bunch of times tonight. He's out. Darius Slayton. He's out. Those are some issues. Now, yeah, what that does in terms of the injuries for the, what's his name, Jalen Carter being out, should open up the ground game a little bit for them Giants, which is good because if you keep the ball on the ground, you'll keep that clock ticking. I think Scatteroo gets a touchdown. You know, we saw last week that where the Eagles tend to be light, the ability to stop the run defense, especially with Jalen Carter being out of there. Scatteroo's got the 7th most red zone attempts in the NFL. And that's names with big boys. Jacobs, Gibbs, Cook, Taylor, McCaffrey, and Barkley. And then Scatteroo. So they're running the ball a lot. They're trying their best not to put the game plan all on Jackson Dart. So I like him touchdown. And I like him at plus 155. I think that's a really nice price tag. Eagles defense has allowed rushing touchdowns 3 straight games. Kyron Williams, we had him. Bucky Irving, we didn't have him. And J.K. Dobbins had him. So I think this is just a spot where we found the weakness in how to exploit that Eagles defense. And it is to defend against the run. Now, I also think this is a lower scoring game. I clipped one excerpt and it had to do with the Giants, 12-0 to the under. At home, first 8 games of the season, early in the season, and it just makes sense. Rookie quarterback, rookie running back. You got rooks across the board. Good for you in trying to hang in there and do what you can do. But this is a tough game for these boys. And you got a pissed off Eagles team now. Yeah, the narrative about the Eagles not being able to score in the second half, I got it. I hear all that. They're at Minnesota next, so I don't think and then they got the Giants in a follow-up match. So I think they want to come out there and handle their business now. The first of a 2-game road trip before you go back and host a divisional opponent for that is a schedule motivation spot to me for the Philadelphia Eagles. And on the other side of things, like I said with the Giants, look, you fucked me on a team total under for New Orleans because you made them look good. They beat the Chargers, but I don't know. They're kind of, what are you going to say? They're a Houdini team. What do you see? Who are you going to get? 21-6, they lose to Washington. I know some of these aren't just all Jackson Dart era, but 3 unders in a row. 4 of the 5 to start the season have gone under. It validates that trend out there. At home, first 8 games of the season are unders. Talked about Scadaboo. Talked about the under. And I'm going to talk about Theo Johnson because this dude's gotten 14 targets in his last 2 weeks. That's a tight end. He's a tight end that's the dominant look. And he'll be another touchdown player that I give out tonight as well in a parlay. Theo Johnson over 3.5 receptions. 14 targets in 2 weeks. That's 7 a game. That's double this number. And I think this is one of them spots where they're showing a little concern at minus 115, but they just haven't caught up because they don't know what we're going to see out of Jackson Dart. So goes along with the running game. You move the ball a couple times. Hopefully you get 3 yards on each gain so that you're 3rd and 4. And then you chunk it to the tight end across the middle on a slant pattern. You pick up the chain, move the chains, pick up a first down, and keep trying to do that to grind that clock out. And we know that's what the game plan looks like for the New York Giants. So that's it. Money and ticket counts on the total. My bad if I neglected to say. I thought I said those. I'll get them for you. Hang on. I got them. It was 43.5, and it's come down 3 points, so it's 40.5. And you have 63% of the bets and 60% of the cash on the over. So that's it. That is all I got. What a marathon of a show. What a ton of plays given out there. And we're down to just 30 minutes before the Thursday night live stream. I appreciate all you guys joining us tonight. Thank you guys so much, man. This season's just ramping up. Hopefully we have a big night tonight to give us a nice boost and lift in these bankrolls so we can go out there and attack we will. So good luck to everybody tonight. I'll see you guys back here live at 7:45. We'll be doing that football thing that we do, but we'll be betting across the card, so you don't want to miss anything. Smash the thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. And on behalf of the Sports Money crew, thanks for tuning in and checking us out. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m.